Let's mow this. Whoa! There's a woman in the yard. Where did she come from? Today's the day. Excuse me, what was that? Today's the day. Today's the day. Yeah, I heard you. Today's the day. For what? Today's the day. Can you say literally anything else at all? You just repeat that same thing over and over, or what? Today's the day. Oh my God. You stay right there. I'm going to turn you into mulch. Hey everybody, welcome to FoundFlix. On this Evening Explained, we're looking at The Woman in the Yard, where a mysterious woman repeatedly appears in a family's front yard, often delivering chilling warnings and unsettling messages, leaving them to question her identity, motives, and the potential danger she might pose. This one kind of has the odds stacked against it, being from Blumhouse and also rated PG-13, and I gotta say the only thing that really stuck with me from the trailer was that phrase used repeatedly. Today's the day! I guess my point is that this one didn't end up being so bad after all. It's relatively simple with things unfolding almost entirely within a farmhouse, and there aren't too many surprises. What I did find myself impressed by is how the woman in the yard character is presented. There's a lot of really visually cool looking shots, usually via mirrors and reflections, as well as shadows, and really was my favorite part. I also did enjoy how off the rails things get by the end, and it becomes a lot more confusing than anyone would have anticipated. This leads to a baffling conclusion, leaving us with more questions than answers. So let's check out The Woman in the Yard, breaking down the story, including who the woman is and explaining the ambiguous ending. We fly over an idyllic looking farm, hearing David describe an amazing dream he had. They'd been hard at work getting the farm together, and he dreamed that it was all finally done. The yard was covered in those flowers you love, asking his wife Ramona, what were they again? Irises, she replies. We see the house now piled with bills and rundown, seeming that they didn't finish after all. He wants to come up with a name for the place, and Ramona simply cannot think of one. Does every farm need a name anyway? We see that Ramona is actually watching a video of David, and based on her current emotional state, he has passed away. She is still struggling with the loss as one of her kids comes in, and their voice is muffled, sounding far away. He flings open the curtain, letting in the morning light, and that gets her attention. Taylor lets her know the power is out and wants to know what she's gonna do about it. She groans to let me wake up, and he leaves annoyed. Ramona struggles to get out of bed, seeing that she has a leg brace. She does a little prayer to give me strength as she shakily gets to her feet. She checks in on her daughter Annie, who is busy reading to her stuffed penguin, but she made sure to change the scary parts in the story. He doesn't like them. Ramona wishes her a good morning, and the girl keeps a smile plastered on until after she leaves, and it becomes a sourpuss. Their dog Charlie is hungry for breakfast, and Taylor pours out the very last bits of kibble. He scrounges up some leftovers and tosses them into the bowl. What else are you gonna do? Taylor tries the stove, but the pilot light is out. This sends him searching in the attic, where he finds a box of his dad's stuff. He takes a fancy gold lighter and a mug that reads, "If you can dream it, you can build it." Ramona is about to take some prescription meds, but elects to skip them instead. She looks at herself in the mirror, and when walking away, it looks like the reflection's movements are slightly off. Now Taylor can attempt to cook some eggs, as Ramona joins them just in time to see Annie grabbing a massive knife, as she just wanted some cheese. Ramona growls to Taylor to keep an eye on her. She notices David's mug and looks longingly to the empty seat. Taylor is adamant they gotta get the power back on, but she can't call them, her phone's dead. And hey, if he didn't break his, he could call. Well, what about the food in the fridge? It'll be fine as long as they don't open the door too much. She takes a bite and is confused by something crunchy. What's in these? Doritos, Taylor informs her, which Annie is a fan of. For a moment, there's brief levity, the family all bursting into laughter. It's short-lived as Charlie enters and barfs up the leftovers. Ramona is annoyed, but hey, they don't have any dog food. She tells him to put him outside, and Taylor tries to talk back. Ramona growls to do it now, and he does as told. She digs through the pile of mail and finds a condolence card amongst them. Suddenly, the sound of water becomes more intense, becoming pouring rain. There's a glimpse of windshield wipers and she stares forward. Then there's a horn honk and the glass shatters in front of her, catching a glimpse of a woman in black outside. Certainly it was a car accident that killed David, and she's still dealing with that trauma. Taylor snaps her back to reality, informing her there is indeed a woman out in the yard. The family are baffled and try to figure out what she could be doing here and why is she dressed like she's going to a funeral. Maybe she's a ghost, Taylor suggests, spooking his sister. Annie rushes to her mama and squeaks that Daddy Daddy would know what to do. Yeah, not helping kid. What else to do but to try and talk to the lady? Ramona leaves, and with the siblings alone, Taylor tells his sis that Mama hasn't been herself lately, but he's here, starting to understand that Ramona has really been struggling with David's demise, like her entire life has fallen apart. Ramona calls out to the lady, but she says nothing, as she gets closer and closer. Finally, she croaks, "How did I get here?" Ramona was going to ask her the same thing. She asks her name, and Ramona asks hers back, getting no reply. The woman grumbles about this being her home. Yes, her husband bought it as a fixer-upper, and she scoffs, "Well, there's still a lot to fix." Ramona tries to help her. Is she lost or what? The lady says she's fine. Well, in that case, can you piss off my lawn? She doesn't budge, and Ramona warns that her husband is coming home soon. You better go. The woman pieces together that he is not coming back, based on her injured leg and busted up car. Seems that she was the lucky one, and he wasn't so much. Annie comes out shouting for her mommy. The woman eyes her, telling her that children are such darlings, and they are ripe enough to eat. Ramona gets stern. Leave, or she's calling the police. Today's the day, Ramona, she tells her cryptically. She repeats the phrase in a more sing-songy tone. Today's the day. She turns her hands, seeing that they are covered in blood, and Ramona, now scared, runs off. Also seeing that several animals and pins have been slaughtered, she tries to charge the phone, but is dead. She attempts to turn the car on, but it only sputters. The lady holds out her hand, and the dark shadow expands toward the pooch. Taylor is about to jump into action, but his mom returns, startling him. He presses her about the woman. Who is she? Nobody, just some woman, she dismisses. Ramona fibs she said something about meds, and must have wandered off from a nearby nursing home. She attempts to distract them with some ice cream, which does work with Annie, but Taylor, not so much. He's still transfixed on the woman. He thinks they should get Dad's gun, and she barks to go to his room. She smashes David's mug, exploding to pieces on the ground. He is defiant once more and hunkers down in a chair, staring out the window. A bit later, Annie gets her attention. It looks like the woman is closer now. Tay leans in, and it does look as though she's inched a wee bit closer. The truck starts wheezing under the tarp. Ramona checks out her still fresh stitches, and she starts picking at a piece. One stitch is loose, and she starts pulling, and it keeps going and going. But she looks away, and it's back to normal. Annie is doing a spelling sheet and has drawn the R the wrong way. She shows her the right way, turning them into little doodles. The girl is curious, why doesn't she paint anymore? And Ramona considers that she might once there are nice things in her head again. She heads outside, and the lady is still out there, also seeing a light dancing in the breeze. She pops out, whispering for Charlie. She notices the chain, but no sign of the dog. She grabs at it, and it's kind of buried. She gives it a hearty yank and pulls it up. It keeps going, and she reaches the end, but it's broken off. We briefly see the lady's face, and it looks surprisingly normal, actually. Taylor shoots awake later and wonders what he missed. His mom says, nothing, but he sees the dirt on her shoe and a trail nearby, knowing she's lying again. Annie does another word on her sheet and makes the same backwards R mistake, and Taylor starts throwing a ball against the wall. He thinks they should go to the neighbor's house, but she won't let him drive. Fine, he'll just walk then. But Ramona isn't letting him go anywhere. Bitch, he mutters under his breath, and clarifies that she's acting like one. You're not a bitch, mama, you know, just being a bitch. He returns to throwing the ball, knowing that it annoys her. She grabs it mid-toss and throws it right out the window. She takes out her frustrations on Annie. How many times until you get the R right? She really belabors the point. Which way does the hump go? Annie stays silent, and things are pretty tense. Ramona catches herself and calms down, apologizing to the girl. She cradles her, cooing that everything is gonna be okay. Or perhaps not. She suddenly takes a knife and stabs her in the back, which luckily is actually a pillow, but Taylor saw what happened. Not a good sign, even if it is a pillow. Annie screams from the kitchen. She steps on some glass, so she wasn't even in the room? Ramona is having a lot more issues than I realized. She gets the wound cleaned up, and Annie wonders, are they still gonna live here since Daddy died? Ramona isn't so sure, and then gets emotional. Sorry, accidents happen, you know. Like when Daddy crashed and died, she asks. Meanwhile, Taylor is off on his own, and first searches for Charlie. He makes a break for the garage, and the woman notices, snapping her head towards him. He attempts the Jeep as well, and gets the same sputter of defeat. He looks up to some laundry waiting on the line. It flitters by, and the woman is gone. It seems that she can move amongst the shadows as one looms past the exterior. He peers over to the other car, and the wind blows off the tarp, exposing the smashed vehicle. He steps back, and the woman appears in the mirror. He tiptoes through the room, seeing her shadow on the other side, and her silhouette casts upon the door. He goes to attack, and it's his mom. Frustrated, she yells to get back in the house and see the woman is still in her chair. She's annoyed, but he is too. She's been hiding things, like the car not working. And where's Charlie? Probably dead, huh? He thinks she must know the woman's identity, and Ramona says that she was just trying to protect them. Well, great job on that, he scoffs. He doesn't think that he should listen to her anyway. She's on crazy people pills. Ramona snaps again and throws something at him. Yikes. She tries to apologize again, but he has had enough. He holds up in his dad's office looking for the gun. Ramona tries to get to him, and he outmaneuvers her, trapping her in a room. Taylor uses the gun to threaten the woman. You better get out of here or I'm gonna start shooting. He begins counting down from 10, and the lady does nothing until he gets to 5. She rises and starts stalking towards him. 2, he counts, training the gun. She lifts the veil, and we see the woman. Ramona shouts for Annie to help, guiding her to get the doorknob. The shadow stretches towards the wind chime. She tinkles it, distracting Taylor. He accuses the woman of killing his dog. She tells him that he's confused. His mom has been lying about everything, including that night he lost his daddy. She told it all backwards. Annie sets Ramona free, and Taylor returns more frustrated than ever. She said the roads were wet and Dad lost control of the wheel, but that was another lie. What really happened, he demands to know. Okay, she relents, and we flash back to that fateful night. Even then, Ramona seemed to be having some serious issues with things. She complains that he's happy, the kids are happy, but she doesn't get to be happy. Pretty selfish. It's made worse when David makes it clear that she wasn't happy in the city either, and they both agreed to make the big move out to the country. He didn't force it on her or anything like that. Annoyed, he relays they can't make a change every time there's an issue. It was a we decision, now it's a we problem we have to fix. Ramona isn't interested in compromising, saying that in that case, well, I can just leave. Ramona cries now that he had this vision of a perfect life and she just could not live it. Sounds like she didn't even try, but whatever. Annie is on her own and there's a whoosh followed by a ball bouncing in. She assumes it must be Charlie. David joins her at the car and is straight with her. If she wants things to get better, she's gonna have to dig deeper. And I have to point out with the whole mirror thing, we see in the car window reflection that The Mirror Has Two Faces is currently playing at the local theater. They drive off in silence and the rain starts coming down. Seeing that she was driving, the woman's shadow starts looming larger in the yard. It clinks a chandelier and moves on to pushing off a lamp. Back to the drive home. The tension lingers in the air. Ramona glances in the rear view, seeing the woman there. She looks back and nothing, but she can't help but be distracted. She looks back again and sees her with a messed up face. Dave shouts to watch out and they crash. Yes, she was driving, she admits. She lied to the kids. The woman terrorizes Annie, following her through the house. She looks and she crawls up, chasing her. Annie screams and Tay runs to her side. The woman really starts messing stuff up, throwing chairs and other objects all over the place. She retrieves that knife from the pillow, and when drawing the curtain, it instantly falls to the floor. So if there's no light, the woman can't move, so to speak. They gotta get somewhere completely dark. The attic, they decide. They run upstairs, and the woman reaches up with long fingers towards them. She pushes a paint thing and nearly whacks Ramona. Her shawl grows, now taking over the entire side of the house. They make it up to the attic, but there's a window there too. Her shadow makes its way in, grabbing at him. It snatches Annie by the leg, dragging her across the floor. Tay quickly blocks the window, and they get the door sealed with a gun. Ramona is confident she can't get in now. We're safe. In spite of the darkness, there's a thumping at the door, and a mirror wobbles. They keep backing up, a creaking heard on the other side, and they stare intently into the darkness. They find a flashlight, making the woman visible. They pass it again, and the woman is back. The light drops, spinning its way around the room, and Ramona fends off the lady with a golf club. The light stops rolling and blinks. Annie grabs it, huddling behind some boxes. The woman appears with a mangled face, singing for the girl. It's me, baby, don't be scared, she coos. Strangely, it appears that the two have switched places, with Ramona's shadow seen trapped in the wall. The woman leans down, telling Annie, I'm here to bring you home. I won't hurt you, she promises. She takes her face and brings her into an embrace. The light diminishes and the pulsing sound stops, seeing that the woman and Annie have vanished. Ramona emerges and can hear Annie calling for her mommy. They rush back downstairs, following the blinking flashlight. They hear her in another room, and Ramona tells Taylor to stay behind, and he hands over David's lighter. Ramona comes to a mirror which extends into a tunnel. She walks through the hall and then emerges through a mirror on the other side. And we're now back to when she recorded that video with David about his perfect dream. What are those flowers again, he asks. Irises, she replies tearfully. She cuddles up in bed with him, but can feel something is off. She looks at a poster and it is backwards. The same for the clock. It's as though she stepped into an alternate mirror world. David surprises her with a pillowcase over the head. Ramona gasps and her eyes open. We're now back to the first time Ramona met the woman, but Ramona is the woman as well. This really does feed into that whole mirror dichotomy. Really, Ramona and the woman are the same, but alternate versions of themselves. Initially, they replay the same conversation, grunting, how did I get here? Until Ramona tells her, today's the day. She says it again, more animated, today's the day. Ramona removes the veil and she's blipped back with the kids in the attic, seeing it's her fighting herself. Then there's a car horn and bright lights. Annie, she calls out, again seeing Ramona in the woman's place trying to assure her she's here to take her home. Also seeing the woman's shadow lingering behind her. She reaches out for her and then there's a flash of her stabbing her with a knife. She grabs her and sees blood covering her hands. She looks through the mirror and the other her smiled back. We pop to the bedroom and Annie miraculously recovers. Ramona orders Tay to take her downstairs and hand over the gun. This ends here. This ends right now, she growls to the darkness. The woman responds, sneering. She's been waiting for her to get that gun in her hands. After all, that's why I'm here, to help like you asked me to. We flash back to her getting out of bed and her little prayer to give me strength. Every morning she prayed for strength. For what? To go on, Ramona claims. The woman disagrees. She got rid of every bullet except one, implying, well, you know. Ramona argues, no, I have children. They need their mother. She points out that they have needed her for weeks and she's been in her own bubble of grief. She feels that she was really praying to her, the dark part of her that's been locked up. She's the scary parts that loom in the corners of her mind. Today is the day, she states gravely. Strangely, Ramona lowers the gun and seems to be giving up. My kids, will they be okay, she wants to know? The woman clicks the lighter to photos of them on the wall. As she passes the flame over, they grow into adults graduating school and getting careers. Only if you set them free, the woman informs her. Ramona is overwhelmed and her doppel joins her on the bed. She wants to at least say goodbye to them first. Ramona tracks him down, telling Tay to take his sister to the neighbors. Everything is gonna be alright and they're gonna be better off. Annie whines she doesn't want to go, and Tay thinks that they can all go, but Ramona knows it doesn't work that way and shoves them on their way. Annie runs back and gives her the penguin stuffy so that she won't be alone. Ramona takes a seat in the attic and the woman takes the gun aiming the barrel at her head. She goes to force her hand, growling she doesn't have all day. Ramona then spots the penguin on the ground. There's a low whooshing and the woman disappears looking like she's absorbed back into Ramona. Did she succumb to her trauma and depression? It's hard to say, but we don't hear a gunshot. The night is quiet until it's disrupted by a light and footsteps approaching. The kids appear and the family is happily reunited. Ramona explains that she changed the scary parts and returns the stuffy. So is she coming back, they ask? Not today, she says, and if she does, we'll be ready. The family walk inside, seeing that she did settle on a name, Iris Heaven. Surprisingly, once they're at the front door, the electricity clicks on, the power is back, and Charlie randomly shows up. He's okay too. Kind of a little too positive an outcome there. There's a painting seen on display. We hone in down to the signature. It's signed by Ramona, but backwards as though in a mirror. And after all the emphasis on doing ours the right way, this is obviously important. Things loop back to where we began, David starting to talk about his amazing dream. What was it, Ramona asks? Right, so the ending is obviously intended to be ambiguous, especially with all that jumping around in time and the mirror dimensions and everything in the climax. It's hard to track what even is going on exactly by the end. We can at least understand that the woman in the yard is in fact part of Ramona, the side of her struggling in the wake of David's death. It really does sound like her issues were going on well before that though. As we saw, the first time the woman appeared is when she wanted to divorce David, which ultimately led to his death, but now without David, it really brought all that to the surface. Is she unfit to be a mother? Based on what we see? Kinda. It's this that forms the basis of that final confrontation between Ramona and the woman. Are the kids actually better off without her? Is her being around preventing their growth? The positive outlook could see the moment of the woman being absorbed into Ramona as her confronting that darkness and finally is able to start rebuilding her family. At least dealing with it enough not to be consumed by it. But I gotta say, I don't see it. There's just a lot of evidence to the contrary, especially the overly positive ending. The power's fixed, Charlie's back. It just doesn't feel real at all. I'd wager the more likely outcome is that Ramona did give up, and this happy mirror world outcome is her own form of coping. She ultimately could not overcome her issues. She couldn't live the dream Dave wanted, as she said herself. This fits a lot more with her character because we never really see any kind of growth or change of any kind from her. And again, her problems were established before they even moved to the farm. It's like she didn't want any of this life at all, and that obviously weighed heavily on her. Ultimately, it makes a lot more sense that she gives up. It allows her kids to at least have a chance to thrive, even if it is kind of a bummer outcome. Hence the overly positive ending in her mind. Everything worked out. I would say perhaps most importantly of all is that the farm has a name in the last scene. Ramona could not think of anything at all, and so what changed randomly? It feels like the final moments are showing us that she is now living in David's dream. The kids are happy, the farm has its name. It's almost too obvious. I missed this detail in the painting when I was watching it, but this perhaps spells things out clearly. At the forefront is the dark taking over everything, and just peeking out of the corner there is Ramona, relegated to hiding in the shadows. This really tells us that however things did turn out, the woman in the inn has taken over, and is now in the driver's seat. Essentially, the woman has taken Ramona's place. That'll do it for this Inning Explained for the Woman in the Yard. But don't forget, before we go, you can send me requests for anything you'd like to see me cover down in the comments below. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. Thanks for watching FoundFlix. See you next time.